My roommate would get up and steal the shower as soon as he heard my alarm go off. 6 weeks later, I had him waking up to shower at 4:30. I would just turn off my Pavlovian alarm and go back to sleep for another 3 hours waiting for the real alarm. When this channel gets bigger, I will do a giveaway for some of the first subscribers, so you better subscribe now to not regret it later. We are now less than 45 days from April Fool's Day. What long con pranks should be started around now? One April Fool's Day I got a text from a wrong number. It happens, but he was nice, so we kept talking from time to time. His name was Jeff. Talked about video games, music. I feel like I made a really great friend. I told all my friends about it. Lasted a few weeks then stopped. Fast forward to the following April Fools and Jeff texted me. I was like, oh shit, what's up man? We texted a bit when finally my friends broke down and said, dude, Jeff has been us the whole time. We just forgot to tell you last year. It's my birthday and I've never been pranked on April 1st. However, I did prank my 8th grade teacher and got into a lot of trouble. He was this annoying too cool for his job type, said he knew the police, banned not uniforms. Anyhow, he would always walk around and around the classroom pontificating on whatever, and when he'd pass by his desk he would always step in his trash can to crush the papers. So, I filled the trash can 3/4 with water and topped it off with scrunched up paper. Worked beautifully and I spent the rest of the day on the hallway waiting to be told if I was suspended or not. Don't know if you can pull this off, but it was of the funnier prank stories I heard on Click and Clack / Car Talk. Some guys worked with another guy who was obsessed with his car's gas mileage, so the coworker slowly started adding gas to his tank without the owner knowing it, like they'd add 2 cups a day for a week, then the next week, they'd add 3 cups a day, etc. Since the guy was so obsessed, he thought his car was getting better and better gas mileage, and was bragging to everyone in the office. Then the guy slowly started to reverse the process. The guy freaked out, everyone laughed. The nameplates at my office job have paper inserts with the cube dweller's name. I'm going to print out a bunch of one person's name in smaller fonts, like increments of 0.25. I'm going to start replacing with smaller fonts each day starting March 1st. I know it's not super crazy, but should be fun. I work with a group of 5 to 6 guys. I plan on separately swearing each of them to secrecy, then revealing that one of their coworkers is planning a wicked April Fool's Day gag on them, and that we should work to plan an even better one against this schemer. If I do it right, I'll have my coworkers conniving to destroy one another and sit back and watch it all unfold, as long as they don't catch on. My wife and son teamed up on me for this one a couple years ago. Drove me nuts. For weeks leading up to April 1st, one or the other would report that there was a leak in our bathroom. I'm the default handyman, so I check it out and sure enough, there'd be a mysterious puddle of water on the floor. Check the walls, ceiling, no moisture. Check the tub, the shower, no drips. Kept happening week after week, and I could not figure out what the hell was going on. April 1st comes, kid comes in and says, I figured it out. I found the leak. I follow him to the bathroom where he proudly points to one of these on the floor. When I was in high school, I brought a bag of garlic flavored jelly beans to school to prank my friends on April Fools. Instead, a classmate grabbed them out of my bag during group work. It was a school with under 100 students, so everyone knew I brought extra treats, and I hear some odd shouting from across the room. Said classmates then handed them off to our teacher to try, without saying why, and I unintentionally pranked my entire year. So I recommend putting out candy on your desk, and AF, refill it with shocking flavors. Jelly Belly has oodles of odd and uncomfortable flavors. Start buying different light bulbs for every light in your house. If you've got soft light, buy the sunlight bulbs. If you've got the sunlight bulbs, go with the soft light bulbs. Install all of them overnight going into April Fool's Day. Act like nothing has changed. For bonus points, continue swapping them once every few days and see how long you can keep it going. In college, a bunch of students got together with local police and staged a murder crime scene in a professor's office. Fake blood, yellow crime tape, the police taking statements and questioning the professor on his whereabouts during the time of the killing. It took a lot of planning ahead of time. Totally got him. Was talked about for many years after. Here's how I convinced a friend his house was haunted. Rain-X is the stuff you put on your windshield to keep it from fogging up. Instead, you sit to write on your friend's bathroom mirror various haunting phrases. They go into the bathroom, lock the door, get in the shower, and come out to find someone has seemingly written on their bathroom mirror while they thought they were alone. Get out, help me, something more personal, or whatever you like. Every time you want to change the message, just use some dish soap and then glass cleaner. Dip your face in it, then press your face to the mirror leaving a face print of it. This is more of a day of situation, but it's too good not to share. At my work we clock in by punching in our employee number. Last year one of my coworkers placed a sign on the time clock that read the time clock has been updated for voice activation. Please state your full name followed by clocking in /out. All day I just heard people yelling at the time clock trying to clock in. It was incredible. My manager was in on it too, so no one was made late because of it. Just good clean fun. This didn't happen for April Fools, but I did recently have a very long con that worked better than planned. My friend got me with a glitter bomb one time, which she watched me open in my bedroom, right next to my bed. I still found glitter 3 years later, when I moved apartments. The bitch. When it happened, I knew she would be wary of a counterattack, so I waited. And I decided not to just wait, but to long con her. I knew she liked candles, so I went for simplicity. I got her a candle that smelled great at first, but eventually burned down to smell awful. Not after an hour, mind you, but after quite a bit of it burned off, giving a very pleasant apple pie scent. Months went by, and I would see it at her place. Burned a little, but not too much. Occasionally I would notice it getting lower, but it was slow going. I got disheartened when I didn't see it any longer, until I noticed that she had moved it to her bedstand, right by where her head would be when she slept. AWW, so sweet. She liked my gift. Cut to many more months having passed. Almost 2 years since I first got her the candle. I get a bunch of angry texts late at night. You asshole. That fucking candle. It reeks in my bedroom. My magnum opus had finally been achieved. It turns out that she had brought her date home that night and put the candle on to set some ambience. As they're getting hot and heavy, they start to smell what she described as pure sewage. It took them 5 minutes to figure out it was the candle and not some sort of sewage backup. Then the smell lingered for an hour. In the end, the guy was a good sport and recognized a quality prank when he sees one, so it didn't ruin anything between them. But to have a long con end that spectacularly was just better than I could have ever hoped for. I put an ad on Craigslist in New York City looking for a wiki impersonation for a film I was making, but I listed my friend's phone number. In the instructions I wrote, if I answer just make the noise and hang up, it'll call you back, if it's good enough. If you get my voicemail, follow the same procedure. Long story short, I forgot about it for 3 months, and one day I was out getting wings with him when he received a call. He slammed his phone down pissed. I asked what was wrong, and he proceeded to tell me about how he has been getting weird phone calls and people just making noises and hanging up. I couldn't stop laughing and finally let him know why, and he was not as amused. My freshman year of high school, I had a teacher that let some of us outside one day to mess around with chalk and dick around. Mostly we just drew fake handicap spots onto the parking spots. A few days later we come into class and she's crying a lot. Teachers are coming into the room saying stuff like, "Is it true? I'm so sorry." Everyone is super confused, and when the bell rings she starts to tell us that a teacher's car was keyed when we were out there, and the security footage confirmed it was one of us. She handed letters out to all of the students who went outside that day and told us that it was her last day. The letters were court notices from the campus police officer. People were crying, including me, and freaking out. None of us could even drive, so why would we have keys? On the second page of the documents it said April Fools. I think she was the only one who found it funny at the time, but we all went home and pulled the same prank on our parents with the letters. This happened last year, months leading up to April Fools. A coworker would send us all photos or just show us photos of his dick with a fake cockroach on it. He was called into ours, but it was a he said, she said, 6+ months in the past, and no evidence showing the actual picture/text. I figured I would order hundreds of fake cockroaches and stash them around his workspace for the coming months. Those following months were hilarious. He never suspected me, he never caught me, but I also gave a ton to other coworkers. Finally, one day he was venting to me about how frustrated he was finding them in his car, in his CNC machine, within his toolbox, falling from his lunchbox, and flying off his windshield when he turned on his wipers, that I turned red and just started laughing so hard I was crying. I'll never forget that look from him, or those months of him not knowing and complaining to me. Joke's on me though, I spent like $50 on fake cockroaches. Years ago I got into a prank war with a guy at work. His were pretty uninspired things. Extra mouse in the USB to move mine around, taking the wheels off my chair, etc. One day I stayed late. I got a 10-foot ladder, a bunch of old boxes, and 100 cubic feet of styrofoam peanuts, some pulleys, steel cable, duct tape and various odds and ends. Above his desk I rigged a ceiling tile by barely cutting it small enough to fit through the frame on 3 sides. I then made a hinge on the 4th side with some tape and hooks. Opposite that I made a breakaway pin attached to a long cable and pull system that ran across the ceiling to my desk. After I rigged the trapdoor above his chair I made a very large cardboard funnel and filled it with the styrofoam peanuts. Then I waited. I waited for days, weeks and finally a little over a month before he interacted with me about the pranks. Hey, you ever going to get me back for that last prank? Is it my turn? I thought it was your turn. No, I took the wheels from your chair, remember? Ooh yeah. That's right. And then I reached up and pulled the cable running down the jumble of power and Ethernet cables above my desk. The pin was pulled on the tile and whoosh, or I should say whoosh. See, styrofoam peanuts fall slowly, and 100 cubic feet takes about 3 minutes to finish falling. That whole time all he could do was stand there with a half grimace half grin as his cubicle was filled with the horrible stuff. Nobody spoke, nobody had to, as we waited for the last to fall.